Okay guys, so I opened the machine, and opening is fairly easy. Sorry I was not able to record it, but on the back side there's this one screw, and what it does is it holds down this metal piece all around the top base. So if you unscrew that one metal piece on the back side, what you can do is take off this whole thing, and then there are 4 screws that holds this thing together, 1, 2, and then 2 on the back. And once you remove this whole thing comes off like this, and you can put it aside. Now once you remove that, you have to position your machine in such a way so you're facing it on the front, and the back side is your motor. So as long as your motor is working, you're good. The main problem with these machines are the motor works, but the gears start to slip. Especially sometimes they would work fine, but as soon as you put some kind of thing in there, any food to mix up, you know, that's when you start seeing this thing hold and making that noise that I saw you earlier. So this is the cover of the gear assembly box, and it kind of goes in like this. There are 4 screws that holds together, this one, this, and then there are 2 on the back. And all I did was just unscrew these bolts, and this thing just comes off easily. There's nothing, there's a bunch of grease in there, but that's about it. So here you can see the gearbox, and what I did was there's this assembly on the back that you can move, which will move the gears. So make sure don't power it up and try to run it that way, because that can bring all this up and cause a bunch of stuff falling off, you know, and cause injuries too. So just move it by hand and you will see the gear assembly moving. And I started to inspect mine since mine was slipping, and the first thing I did was inspect this particular gear, to turn it all the way and look at the threads, make sure everything is good, nothing is broken on there, and mine was good. And second thing I did was I did an observation on this particular one to go all the way around and make sure no teeth are broken on that particular one, and I had none, so I knew these 2 gears were good. Then I moved on to the third one, which is the front one right here, and I did the same thing. I just kept turning just to make sure everything was good over there, and I did not find any wear or tear on that particular one. Then there's 1 gear on top, but the top one you can pretty much see, so you don't really have to turn, you can just see it all around. I don't see anything on there. Then there's this bottom one, and I start to rotate that one, and on this one I can see some wear right there, you can probably see, and there's a lot of wear on that particular one. And so I'm suspecting my bottom one is going bad, and I just wanted to turn it all the way around and see how are the other teeth, because those are the one that's slipping most likely. There you go. And as you can see, I'm right here and it's not even turning. I kept turning and it's not, because there are almost no teeth right there between this, sorry, so between this guy and this guy there's almost nothing, so that's why it's not turning. So that tells me, there you go, and you can see it, I almost moved it by my hand, you can see. So, and it should not be like that, and you can see there are broken teeth in there. And what I'm gonna do is oops. So now I know I need to replace this particular piece. So I'm gonna go online and try to do some research. What piece do I need? That particular one, so I don't have to replace the entire gear assembly. And then of course you're gonna have to take off all this grease, really clean it up, and then put new grease, because you definitely don't want the old grease, because it has parts of chunks of metal in there. So if you put new gear, those chunks of metal will damage the threads on the new gear, so you definitely don't want that. So I'm going to take it all apart, clean it really good, and put all the new parts in with new grease. Okay, so you'll need ring retractor. I'm not sure exactly what it's called. I just got the ring plier set, and this is the ring that you're going to take it out from here. So it's all the way down there. You grab it with this plier, and then you take this thing off, and now you can remove the gears and everything and replace it. Okay, so to remove this, you just put a screwdriver in the middle and start lifting this. And I think you should have enough that you can just, there you go. So since I'm going to be reusing this gear, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm going to put this away. And now you see that there is a mallet ring right here. So all you do is just, oops, there it is. So I'm just going to grab that. This pin pretty much comes out. And now what you can do is start hitting this nice and slow to take out the at the bottom, and it's much easier if you have somebody holding it. So now I can remove this whole thing and replace the entire gear. So this needs to be replaced. Before you replace that, make sure you guys clean out the entire grease, because that is critical. If you don't replace it, you're gonna end up having the same issue again, because this grease is contaminated with a lot of metal particles in there, so it will create a lot of friction and end up damaging the new bearing that you're putting in. So make sure you remove all that grease. So let me do the cleanup and we'll put it together. You can see it's now all clean. I cleaned it as best as I can. I did not use any chemicals, just a rag, and try to clean it as much as I can. Now we're going to start putting it back together, and make sure you clean your housing too and other gears as well. Okay, so I installed all the gears back in, and I've mounted the assembly back. It was hard for me to hold the camera, guys. Both hands dirty. I don't have a stand, so was not able to do it, since I'm doing this at a remote location, not at my place. So pretty much gear assembly goes back the way you took it out. You know, it's just a reverse process. You just make sure you put a bunch of grease. The grease that I used was this one from Walmart. It was like $5. It is food machinery grease, so you want to make sure this is non-toxic. So definitely use this grease. Do not use any other grease, guys, because if that falls into your food, it can cause some harm. So you definitely don't want that. So put all the gears back and put a bunch of grease in there, and that's pretty much it. And put the housing back on. I did put a bunch of grease inside the housing as well, and filled it up on this from the interior side, since the shaft goes in there. And from here you definitely want to run it, and make sure this front one is turning when you're running, and along with that the bottom one as well. So just keep turning that. What I want to do at this point is put everything back on, put the top cover on. There are 4 screws that I'm gonna put it back together, and then run the machine for at least 5 minutes or so on high speed. That will help redistribute any of the grease inside, and make sure you have a good mixture. You don't miss any spots, and then you can start using your machine for the rest until it breaks. Thank you.